Okay, so I really hope I'm whispering, but I'm probably not. This video is the video that I've been wanting to make for a really long time, but never ended up doing. Well, actually, it's a couple of videos I wanted to make, so I'm just gonna try to put it all in one video. So this is gonna be about weird things abusive people do. And some of it may be things that are sometimes referred to as narcissist crazy making behavior. I don't like the term narcissist, as I've talked about before. I'd rather just actually say people with the Jezebel Leviathan and other spirits, or a high ranking Jezebel spirit, and then the other marine spirits that go along with these behaviors. I don't like mental labels for a lot of reasons, but I'm not even going to go back into that. But yeah, some of this may be considered narcissist crazy making behavior. And I don't know what else I have to say about that. Number 1, say yes or no. So this is something that people with the Jezebel, Leviathan, and other spirits like to do a lot for whatever reason. Where you'll just be near them and they'll be like, say yes or no. And they'll refuse to give you an explanation for it. Now, this lady I mentioned before that I met, honestly, it was kind of a long time ago now, that I mostly try to avoid. She does that sometimes, but it's usually not for something horrendous. But my mom's boyfriend, he loved to do that say yes or no thing. And the thing is, they will refuse to tell you what they're talking about or why. And, they could be... Okay, wait a minute. I'm not giving a good example. So let's say they're thinking about, I don't know, driving into Dollar Tree with you in the car because they're mad at somebody that works there. They'll be thinking of that in their head, and they'll look at you and they'll be like, say yes or no. And then you'll be like, wait a minute now, I don't really want to say yes or no, and I don't know what you're talking about. And they'll be like, just say effing yes or no. So yeah, they do that. That's one thing. That's probably not even the worst one, to be honest. But that one really annoys me, though. It kind of reminds me of this one funny thing that I meant to put on the list that I didn't, because I didn't even really know, what title to give it. But there was this thing that my mom used to do where, if me and my siblings wanted to ride with her somewhere because we thought she was going to the store, she would refuse to tell us where she was going. And so this one time, me and my younger sister, we thought my mom was about to go to the store, so we asked if we could go with her. And we asked her where she was going. She said, I'm not telling you where I'm going, but you can get in the car, you cannot get in the car. And so we decided to go. Tell me why, after an hour plus of being in the car, we were at somebody's funeral type thing, viewing somebody's dead mom. And we thought that she was going to the store. So, obviously that's not really to say yes or no, but it's another weird manipulative thing where you won't really give any information on something. But yeah, so that was number 1. Number 2, this is a really big one that people don't talk about. This one is covert sexual abuse. So, abusers with the Jezebel, Leviathan, and other spirits, or even some other types that do similar things, or maybe have a few similar spirits, they like to do a lot of covert sexual abuse because they also commonly have a lot of sexual spirits. But of course, marine spirits, they are sexual spirits, so yeah, it makes sense that they would commonly do the weird stuff that they do. So, one common one for quote-unquote narcs, or parents or even other abusers with the Jezebel and Leviathan spirits is walking around naked for whatever reason, and then they refuse to put on clothes because they want to get to you. 2, using the bathroom with the door open regardless of how it makes anybody else feel. 3, not allowing you to close doors or not allowing other people to close doors when they're changing. Or they won't close their door. I think this is number 4. Watching you shower. Or it could get worse. Number 5. They force you to let them shower you. And I think I still have a post about this from someone else's situation, not mine. Luckily, I mean, at least no one was showering me, but I mean, let me not even go there because I was about to go on a whole trauma dump, especially about the Cash for Kids system and the stuff that they do in their little facilities. But anyway, there was this lady and she was like 20 something, but her mom was taking her through this type of covert sexual abuse. And so she was like, guys, I don't know what to do. Should I be worried? I'm 20 something and my mom is still making me let her shower me. I hope that came out right because I feel like it didn't. What was the other thing? I guess that's all I have to say about that. So I think number 6 is just ignore that. Forcing you to transition or join the alphabet, which this is also a form of Munchausen, but it's also a form of sexual abuse and can even go into like sex trafficking. It's also a form of Cash for Kids system abuse and psychiatry abuse. But your parents may force you to become transgender or something as a form of covert sexual abuse. In fact, I remember in my situation, I think this was like before my mom really started the whole drag me through the Cash for Kids system and Munchausen and stuff. She liked to watch this show called I Am Jazz, who was a boy who had went through this type of abuse. And now he has all types of health issues, and last thing I heard, he became obese and a whole bunch of other stuff because of like the different trauma. He seemed to have an Ahab dad, or his dad was just completely co-signing the bullcrap. Well, he was either way, whether the dad was Ahab or not. But yeah. And the show was on Netflix. It was pretty much a documentary of the kid's abuse pretty much. But I remember I used to be really scared because like I was like, is this what she's gonna do next? But I think the only reason that my mom didn't do the whole forced transition thing was simply because it's not really looked at well in like our community. So she knew that probably would have got more backlash than her doing the other stuff that she did. As if anybody even really cared anyway. But luckily she didn't do that. Because, I mean, with all the health issues I did end up with because of the stuff that did happen, I can only imagine how much worse that would have been. In fact, there's this one thing I used to talk about. How, like, one time, the doctors themselves, they spent more time trying to, like, manipulate me into becoming transgender than they ever did talking to me about my situation or my crazy test results that came back revolving around my health. So, yeah, there was that. And that's really common these days. In fact, if you've never heard of him, look up the whole Desmond is Amazing kid. He went through this situation and it was tied into some sex trafficking too. And now he's like 17. It's a really messed up situation though. And that's why I say we really have to come together to do something about these things. But I know like a lot of people aren't going to want to because you can like go to jail or whatever. But I mean, you have to be willing to die for the truth. What's the other thing? I guess that was it. So the next thing Now I'm trying to find my spot. Allowing sibling sexual abuse. This is something else that these types of abusers will do. And commonly, anytime you see sibling sexual abuse in the family system, that definitely means the family system has a lot going on. Commonly, there's just a lot of abuse and a lot of generational trauma and generational curses of like predatory behavior, or the parents are on drugs or something. It's always something going on whenever there's sibling sexual abuse, or bare minimum, somebody did something to the kid and nobody did anything about it, or no one knows, or they've just been letting their kid sit on the internet and watch whatever all day. So yeah, allowing sibling sexual abuse, or even encouraging it, or telling a sibling to sexually abuse another sibling, that's common in these types of family systems. Trying to find my spot again. Wait a minute. Putting you in situations to get essayed. So this is like a parent leaving you around random people, the ones that'll just like leave you around their girlfriends and boyfriends that they don't even know. Or worse, the types of abusers that will leave you around the family member that abused them, like the uncle or the aunt or whatever, because they feel like, well, it happened to me, so it might as well happen to you too, so somebody else can feel my pain. So yeah, stuff like that, that's covert sexual abuse. And overt too. Another one, accusing you of liking their spouse or their girlfriend or their boyfriend. This is really common when the abuser notices that the person that they're with is abusing their kids or is talking about abusing their kids. And I've seen this stupid little video online that really gave The Color Purple vibes, where this turned out lady was talking junk about dudes. And like I said before, to be truthfully honest, when you live in a fallen society where everybody's pretty much messed up, nobody's really a safe person to leave your kids around or be around. And it's not even really a gendered thing after a certain extent, because everybody becomes pretty messed up and perverted in a fallen society. But yeah, so the lady was talking about some... Okay, wait a minute. That was a terrible explanation of what I'm talking about. So the video was of a dude, well, a mom's boyfriend, because this is how these boyfriend girlfriend situations, they're really never good. But anyway, the mom's boyfriend had came to the mom, at least, and he was like, you need to kick your 18-year-old daughter out because you guys had the same thing. And basically he said he was attracted to her. But the thing is, anybody that talks like that really doesn't care about personality. They're just there for physical stuff anyway. And they obviously only see people as objects. But yeah, so this video is being reacted to by this turned out lady who gave me The Color Purple vibes. I think that's the movie I'm thinking of. I never watched it, but I heard enough about it to know it's some mess, especially some racial mess, but let me not go into that. And so she was like, this is why I wrote that book I wrote about all men want, something like that. And so anyway, people in the comments, or at least this one person in the comments, was like, they basically were blaming the 18-year-old because they were like, if I was 18-year-old daughter, after the shock wears off, I pack my bags and leave, and basically saying that she needs to be accountable or something like that. And honestly, the adults need to be accountable. It was some bull crap. But yeah, that was some mess. Anywho, so there was that. Really trying to whisper, but I feel like I'm probably not. But the next thing is, where am I? telling random people sexual things about you. Now I'm trying to figure out what example to give where I don't like. I don't know. I guess. Hold up. I'm trying to like figure out an example that I feel like isn't too much, but I don't really think I could give an example of this that isn't like a lot to handle. But I want to give an example of something that didn't happen to me though. Cuz I feel like okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, I thought of an example. So let's say wait a minute. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't sound stupid either, but honestly these situations usually are stupid. Let's say that like I don't know, your mom or your dad or whatever, or maybe even another relative is talking to like their friend or even somebody that they don't know. Let's say somebody that they really don't even know. Like, okay, a neighbor. Your relative tells your neighbor your bra size or something, or that, I don't know, you have a big chest or something like that. That's an example. Because, like, the other things that I was thinking of were probably, like, a lot. Because I was going to either, well, I really wanted to give an example of something that didn't happen to me, but even that situation was kind of a lot. And I didn't really want to go into that. But obviously, these situations can get really, really bad. And, like, a lot of stuff can be put out there. Like, a lot of not good stuff that may not even be true, that you supposedly did or didn't do. In fact, no, I wasn't even thinking about this because I was mostly thinking of situations where like your abusers tell somebody something about your physical appearance. But let's say I can't even say let's say. Let me give this example of something that happened to me. So basically, how do I summarize this? There was this whole situation where my older enabler sister had got this dog, or at least she was babysitting somebody's dog. And so my mom's boyfriend didn't like animals, so he was like tasing and choking the dog and stuff. So he started making up a lot of stories about the dog. And eventually I come in. So he had started saying that the dog was gay, but then he said that the dog was in love with me. And then eventually he made up this whole situation in his head that me and the dog were dating, but the dog was also gay, but the dog liked people. And then he started spreading this lie around that I was dating the dog, and then he was like, we're gonna let psychiatrists know that you're dating the dog. Luckily that didn't happen, because I could, but I don't even know though, because it's like, that's the funny thing though, when it comes to the mental health system branch of the Cash for Kids system and psychiatry abuse, it's like, when they can profit off of something in situations like this, then it's bad, but other than that, it's normal, because like they normalize zoophilia, bestiality, and all that stuff. But it's like, if they can profit off of a parent saying we don't like this, then the psychiatrist will be like it's bad, but in their books they say it's whatever, because of course they don't believe in morals. But luckily that it didn't get to that point. But that's one example, or another example of covert sexual abuse. And yeah, and that's not even the worst one, to be honest. I feel like that's probably, well, I don't know. I guess, I mean, that it could get worse. I mean, but yeah, so that happened. So let me keep going to the next thing. Trying to find my place again. Munchausen and allowance sibling. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute, hold up. I skipped a whole bunch of stuff because telling people random sexual things about you that are or aren't true, that's way at the bottom of the list. I skipped a whole bunch of stuff somehow. So after allowing sibling sexual abuse, I was supposed to talk about surrogate spouses and emotional incest. So, surrogate spouses and emotional incest, they're kind of two different things though. So for surrogate spouse, one example of a surrogate spouse, kind of started choking and burping at the same time, is that not you, the women in the hood who have their sons playing daddy husband, and selling drugs to help them pay bills. That's one example of a surrogate spouse. Another example is kind of like emotional incest too, where like the parent will come to you and tell you about different things that are bothering them. I don't know if that came out right. Different things that are bothering them that they probably shouldn't tell you about. So like, I don't know, they'll come to you and tell you, this is an example by the way, that your dad isn't good in bed or something like that. That's one example of surrogate spouse, and where like you make the kids become the spouse. Or it could get really, really bad to where like they pretty much make their kids their girlfriend or boyfriend, with or without full blown physical sexual abuse, I guess. But like, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but there's that. Then emotional incest. So like, the moms who think that their sons are hot and will go on and on about how hot their sons are. That's one example of emotional incest. But yeah, I think that's all I can really think of for that right now. And then after that, I don't even remember which number this would be because I didn't write all that down. But virginity checks, quote unquote. I've heard of these being done on like 7-year-olds, and these are commonly done to try to victim blame the kid that they're letting get abused, or they're just really weird and paranoid and they feel like things are happening that really aren't. But yeah. Although one thing I'll say though is that some of the people that act weird like this are people who have went through sibling sexual abuse themselves, or just some type of abuse like that. So they get like really paranoid and worried. Like I remember my older scapegoat sister, she went through sibling sexual abuse with some step sibling she had with her real dad, I guess, something like that. And so she was really paranoid about like her son and my brother because she just didn't trust anybody. And there was that. I mean, here's all I can say about that. But yeah, so, well, another thing I could say with that though is like, if you already know that even the relatives that you're living with now are dysfunctional, I guess it still makes sense to a certain extent to not trust anybody regardless. But like, this can also make somebody really paranoid about things happening that probably wouldn't end up happening with the person that they think is doing something. But yeah, so there's that. And putting you, I already read that one, so I skipped a whole bunch of stuff a couple times. Accusing, oh no, I read that. Hold up. Okay, watching corn in front of you, or pornographic material. Honestly, I probably already said a lot of stuff that would probably get this video taken down. But yeah, so they'll do that. I know my older siblings, they had a bad story about this, but it wasn't even a relative. It was like someone else. But when they go to this person's house, they just be watching corn all day in the living room, and then they have to sit there and watch it pretty much like the family pornographic meeting. It's really not funny, but anywho. So yeah, they'll do that. And this is really common these days because like this stuff is so normalized to where, I mean, even the music is corn, and yeah, it's pretty much everywhere. So it's like a lot of people think this is normal, but it's really not. It's not normal to be recorded or watched, really. It's just a whole bunch of victims. And like, honestly, just about everybody in the situation is a victim, other than maybe possibly the person recording, but they're probably a victim or kidnapped too. So there's that. I feel like I probably could have wrote more down there, but I didn't. So 3, abuse revolving around food/starvation. So I didn't write that many things down here, but these were the things that came to mind. If you ever been told the kitchen is closed, locks on fridge, kids have to eat last. If you ever been told something like that, you have to work or clean for food. Like you have to clean, and then you have to like get some type of incentive for cleaning, and then give that back to somebody to get something to eat or something to drink. Fighting over food. Now this could also happen because you're like poor or whatever, but if you're fighting over food because food belongs to specific adults, like if you're fighting over half a bag of shrimp or something, there's probably some starvation abuse. So like, in fact, another example, if you get in trouble for supposedly drinking or eating something that belonged to some adult in the house, that's another sign that you're going through starvation abuse or something of the sort. Food belongs to specific adults. I think I already said that. You feel like you have to sneak to eat. You're rushing to cook. You're trying to like, whenever the adults in the house are gone, you're like, everybody's trying to like run downstairs to hurry up and try to cook and eat something within like three seconds, and you're fighting over food or whatever. In fact, the Billy kid that I made a video about, well, a couple videos about his whole situation in similar situations, somebody commented on one of the videos a couple days ago, and they were responding to people who were like talking junk to him about the whole situation where he admitted that like he almost stabbed his sister or something over the microwave. And honestly, I could think of so many situations that could cause something like that to happen, especially with like reactive abuse. People like that, like they don't really know what it's like to have people try to force you to do something to them. But anywho, let me not go into that. So, anywho, somebody was like, he probably was suffering from food anxiety because his uncle had a lock on the fridge and all the food was under lock and key. So yeah, this is really common. And also this type of abuse causes a lot of health issues as well. Like a lot of people think that this will make you like underweight, but that's not even always the case. It could actually make you obese. In fact, all the people I ever knew that were obese never had food in their house. And it wasn't even like always about abuse. Sometimes it was just that they really just didn't have any money to even buy any food, and that can like mess up your metabolism and stuff, and mess up your gut microbiome. So there's that. Well, I think I have some other stuff I didn't read yet. So yeah, feeling like you have to sneak to eat, or being forced to eat more than you can eat. So there's that too. And abusers with the Jezebel and Leviathan spirits, they like to do stuff like this, especially when they have like a boyfriend or girlfriend that has some health issues or some type of codependency type issue. Like, you may have even seen documentaries where like the boyfriend or girlfriend will overfeed the person that they're dating until the person becomes sick, and they'll get the person sick and make the person sick, so that way nobody else will want to get with the person because they're obese. And that also goes back to like some rejection type stuff, because the person feels insecure, so they feel like the only way for the person they're dating to not leave them is that they, one, have to need them because their health is so screwed up, and two, they have to look really bad to where other people may not want to get with them. And hopefully I explained that right. But yeah, being forced to eat more than you can eat is another thing. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention, or I forgot to write down, being forced to eat food out the trash. That's another form of abuse that revolves around food. So like, if maybe you were full and you, I don't know, couldn't eat all of something or whatever, and you threw some of it away, being forced to eat it out the trash, or if you throw up because you're sick or something, being forced to eat your throw up. That's done a lot in cash for kids system placements. And by the way, this is an example. That never happened to me, not the throw up part. But anywho, so let me keep going before I start trauma dumping. Sleep deprivation abuse. This is something that happened to me specifically. I started going through sleep deprivation abuse when I was 8. And I feel like that is one of the big key roles in a lot of things. But it never really impacted me as much as you would think it would. Like, eventually I stopped being able to go to sleep at all because of this. And I remember the doctors didn't really understand how I was still alive, because even when they wanted to do a sleep study, because I eventually stopped being able to go to sleep, and of course the situation was flipped around, but let me not go into that. They couldn't do a sleep study because I couldn't go to sleep at all. So yeah, anywho, some examples. You're not allowed to go to sleep. And I remember way before I really finally actually did research on sleep deprivation abuse and other things revolving around that, when I was 8, I always felt like I really wasn't allowed to go to sleep, because it felt like every time I was almost asleep, I was being told that I needed to not go to sleep. So yeah, not allowed to sleep, or you feel like you're not allowed to go to sleep. You don't have a place to go to sleep at. That's another thing. And I'm not even talking about like a bed specifically. I mean, like, you don't really have anywhere you could go to sleep where somebody isn't like blasting music or doing something to where you wouldn't be able to go to sleep in that specific room. Or you don't have a room, but you're not allowed to sleep in the front room or on the couch or something either. But let me not even go into that, because then I'll be way somewhere else. So, yeah, just not having anywhere to sleep where you really, like, where there isn't like a lot of stuff going on. I hope this is making sense, but let's say somebody's doing something in the front room, someone's doing something or blasting music in another room, or you're not allowed to go in either of these places to go to sleep. And I remember at one point, I just got really fed up with the whole situation. I would just go sleep outside somewhere, and that was actually more comfortable. And like, before I even ended up homeless or whatever, I always knew that I would honestly get the best sleep ever homeless. But let me not go into that. So, woken up by screaming. Even if the person isn't screaming at you, but you're woken up by screaming at 3 a.m. or something like that. 3 a.m. when the veil is thinnest and people start manifesting. So, like arguments, somebody arguing with themselves, because people with the Jezebel and Leviathan spirits, they love to argue with themselves. If nobody else is around to argue with, they'll start arguing with themselves in the corner. So yeah, woken up by screaming. Don't want to go too deep into that because then I'll be 50 minutes in, almost damn anyway. They wake you up to argue about some mess where you probably don't even know what they're talking about. So being woken up and asked for money, being woken up and you can't even figure out what in the world they're talking about. In fact, no. Now I'm having a flashback. So one time when I was 14, my dad was, I don't know what he was doing, but like I was finally asleep, letting me not even go into that. And I started having this weird dream about my dad giving me money and me moving back in with my mom or something. And I was like, wait a minute, what is happening right now? And so I was really, really sleep deprived due to the bull crap. So my brain was trying to ignore it the best it could. But eventually I ended up waking up anyway. Tell me why he was standing over the bed talking about some bull crap. I don't even know what he was talking about. And I was like, why in the world are you whispering in my ear at 5 o'clock in the morning? And I don't even know what he was talking about. It was something about, oh yeah, he found out that I was trying to move back in with my mom, but I don't even want to go into all that. I barely remember any of it anyway, because most of it is a repressed memory, but yeah. And eventually, like a year or so later, I found a video where someone was talking about how these types of abusers will like speak word curses over you or something like that in your sleep to try to like implant stuff into your subconscious mind. I don't really know if he was doing all that. I think he was just talking about giving me some money before I moved. That's what it seemed like, but it was still outrageous and some bull crap at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's just a small reason of why I got held back. But anywho, so, well, yeah, that is a small reason. Actually, that's like 1%, because I was in a coma a lot of that time from serotonin syndrome. But anywho, blast loud music. I think I already read that. Oh, another thing, if I didn't write this down, they'll wake you up out of your sleep to try to get you to apologize to them for something that they did to you. So yeah, blasting loud music. Turn on or keep on all the lights. That's something that I think my mom and her boyfriend like to do that specifically. I can't remember if my dad ever did this, but wait a minute. So keeping on all the lights all night, blasting music, keeping on the TV, that one realtor that'll bang on their leg with a bottle at 3 in the morning or 12 or whatever in the world, stuff like that. And due to different things that had happened, I already was a really light sleeper. I still am. Like, I can hear in my sleep. I can respond to people in my sleep. And it's not even like sleep talking. It's not like I don't remember when I wake up. It's like I'm practically halfway asleep. And I know I responded. And I know what you're saying. And I know what I'm saying. And I'll remember it too. And if a pin drops, I can get up. So, yeah, my point was that all this noise makes stuff worse when I'm already a really light sleeper anyway. And yeah, so, oh, another thing I should have wrote down, removing the room door, if you have a room, removing the room door so that way they can keep you up even easier by keeping all the lights on and blasting music all night for whatever reason. In fact, no, this reminds me of this video I seen one time. This was like probably a few years ago, where somebody was like, the narcs will keep you up all night and never let you sleep, and then they'll sleep peacefully and have the nerve. So yeah. Where was I? Wake you up to make... Oh, I already said that. Throw stuff around to wake you up. So I remember... No, let me not go into that. but they'll throw stuff around to keep you up or to wake you up. They'll just start throwing cups at the walls, throwing plates everywhere, turn the sink on and off. They'll banging stuff places, throwing chairs around, falling. They'll start doing a whole bunch of stupid stuff. This is what happens when people are severely demonized and reprobate-minded. Yeah, my shoulder just popped. That's not a good sign. Not let you lay down. I don't know if I said this already, but another form of sleep deprivation abuse is not letting you lay down to go to sleep at all. So, like, every time they think you're gonna lay down, they have something to say about it and they tell you no, or it's too early to go to sleep. Stuff like that. Another thing that I could give an example of is, like, let's say, I can't even really say the let's say thing. So, how do I put this? There's this one thing. No, let me not go into that. Waking you up hours before you have to do something. And this also can go into, like, your abuser's, like, trying to give you a panic attack to make you feel like you're late for something or missed something that you really haven't missed. They may even wake you up hours early and tell you that it's actually the time for that you're supposed to already be at a certain place, but it's really not and nowhere near that time. But, like, you'll be so confused because they'll just wake you up so abruptly you won't even really know what's going on probably. But waking you up. Okay, so here's an example. Let's say it's 12 a.m. and you probably just went to sleep like 5 minutes ago. They'll wake you up at 12 a.m. to tell you about a place you have to be at 10. Stuff like that. Okay, I already read that. 5, not allowed to go outside. This is the last one. This also can go into, like, isolation abuse, and it leads to many health issues too. Like, one health issue that this can give you is not having the muscle mass that you need to like perform basic tasks. And people will never talk about this, but not being allowed to go outside really messes up your health in a whole bunch of ways. But then, of course, just like with these types of abusers that are double-minded, another person, probably even with these same spirits, may, like, just really not care, and they may let you, like, run around outside all day. But this can have different extremes. And commonly with these types of abusers, they're, like, wishy-washy. So, like, when you're young, they may let you be outside till, like, 3 a.m. But then when you get older, now you can't go outside at all, or now you can't go outside past 2 p.m., not a.m. So, yeah, they do weird stuff like that, too, where they, like, completely switch up on you.